Ladies and gentlemen, the way we talk to ourselves shapes the world we experience. Every thought, every word we speak in our minds creates a framework for how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. If we constantly tell ourselves that we are not good enough or that we are destined to fail, we begin to see everything through that lens. We become our own greatest obstacle, not because the challenges are insurmountable, but because we've already convinced ourselves that we can't overcome them. On the other hand, when we speak words of encouragement and belief into our lives, we begin to reframe the way we view situations. The same challenge that might have once felt overwhelming becomes an opportunity for growth. The difference isn't in the external circumstances, but in the internal dialogue that dictates how we respond to them. Our thoughts have the power to either fuel us or hold us back. It's easy to think that the world defines our reality, that external events, people's opinions, or circumstances dictate what is possible for us. But the truth is, our reality is deeply influenced by how we respond to those things internally. The words we use with ourselves set the tone for our actions. If we are constantly speaking doubt, fear, or criticism into our minds, our actions will mirror that mindset. But if we speak hope, determination, and strength, we begin to act with those qualities in mind, even when faced with adversity. What we choose to say to ourselves influences how we move through life. If we believe that we are capable and worthy, we approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and resilience. If we see ourselves as powerless or incapable, we shrink away from opportunities, allowing fear and self-doubt to dictate our decisions. In this way, our internal conversation becomes the lens through which we filter our experiences. It's not about denying reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about choosing to speak to ourselves in a way that empowers us to face those challenges head-on, without surrendering to fear or negativity. By shaping our self-talk in a positive, empowering way, we begin to rewrite the narrative of our lives, creating a story of success, growth, and perseverance, instead of one of limitations and defeat. Ultimately, the way we talk to ourselves is a reflection of what we believe we are capable of. If we believe we can achieve something, we are far more likely to put in the work, take the risks, and overcome the obstacles required to make it happen. But if we believe that we cannot, our efforts will be half-hearted and will be constantly battling the internal voice that tells us we're not enough. The reality we experience is shaped by what we tell ourselves about who we are and what we can accomplish. When we begin to speak words of confidence, positivity, and belief, we create a reality that reflects those values. A reality where we can thrive, grow, and succeed. When we encounter obstacles or setbacks, it's easy to slip into a mindset of limitation where we focus on what we cannot do, what is out of reach, or why things won't work. This perspective is natural because it's often influenced by fear, doubt, or past experiences of failure. However, what we don't always realize is that the moment we shift our focus from what is impossible to what is possible, we open ourselves up to a world of new opportunities and growth. Our brains are wired to seek patterns and solutions, and when we see a problem or challenge, our first instinct is often to identify the reasons it can't be done. The "I can't" mindset locks us into a cycle of stagnation, where we focus on obstacles rather than on potential solutions. But the truth is that every limitation we perceive is often a mental construct, shaped by our beliefs and experiences. The real challenge is not the obstacle itself, but our perception of it. When we begin to shift our focus from limitation to possibility, we start to ask different questions. Instead of asking, "Why can't I do this?" we ask, "How can I make this work?" This small shift in thinking moves us away from being victims of our circumstances and empowers us to take ownership of our outcomes. The shift is subtle, but it's powerful. It transforms problems into puzzles, difficulties into challenges to overcome, and perceived failures into lessons. The possibility mindset doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties or pretending that the road ahead will always be easy. It simply means recognizing that every challenge presents an opportunity for growth, learning, and adaptation. It encourages us to see beyond the immediate struggle and look toward the potential lessons, skills, and strengths we can develop through the experience. By focusing on what we can learn from the situation, we start to view challenges as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. This shift in perspective can radically change how we approach our goals. When we see possibilities instead of limitations, we become more creative, more resourceful, and more willing to take risks. We understand that the path to success isn't always linear, and that failure is just a part of the process. Instead of being discouraged by setbacks, we learn to embrace them as opportunities to refine our strategies, build resilience, and improve our skills. The mindset of possibility also allows us to see potential where others might see none. While some may view a challenging situation as an insurmountable hurdle, someone with a possibility-driven mindset will see it as a chance to innovate, collaborate, and push boundaries. This is why people who embrace possibility are often able to achieve great things. They don't limit themselves by what's in front of them, but instead expand their vision to include what could be. When we start to see ourselves as capable of overcoming obstacles, we stop defining ourselves by our limitations. We begin to see our true potential, not as a fixed point, but as something that grows and evolves based on the challenges we face and the way we respond to them. The more we shift from a mindset of limitation to one of possibility, the more we begin to see opportunities everywhere, even in the most difficult situations. This shift doesn't just change what we achieve, it changes how we experience life itself. Instead of seeing life as a series of obstacles to avoid, we see it as a journey full of potential waiting to be realized. We all have stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we are capable of, and what we deserve. These stories are shaped by our experiences, our upbringing, and the messages we've absorbed from the world around us. Often, we don't realize how much influence these narratives have on our lives. They dictate how we approach challenges, how we view our own worth, and how we interact with others. But the truth is, we have the power to create and reshape our own narratives at any point in our lives. The stories we tell ourselves can either limit or liberate us. If we see ourselves as incapable or unworthy, we will act in ways that reflect that belief, even if it's not an accurate representation of our true potential. On the other hand, when we choose to see ourselves as resilient, capable, and deserving of success, we begin to make choices that align with that self-promote. Our narrative shapes our behavior, our mindset, and ultimately the course of our lives. It's easy to let external influences dictate our narrative. Society, family, friends, and even the media can impose stories on us that make us feel as though we don't have control over our lives. We might hear things like, "That's not possible for someone like you," or "You've failed before, so you'll fail again." These external voices can be loud and persuasive, but they don't have to be the final word. Our narrative is not defined by others' opinions or by our past mistakes. It is something we have the ability to write ourselves. When we start to take ownership of our narrative, we begin to see ourselves not as passive participants in life, but as active creators of our own stories. We realize that each day is an opportunity to shape the direction we want to go, to make decisions that reflect the values, goals, and vision we've created for ourselves. Rather than letting the world define us, we define ourselves by the choices we make and the beliefs we choose to hold. The process of creating our own narrative is not about ignoring challenges or pretending that life is always easy. It's about acknowledging that we have the power to choose how we respond to life's ups and downs. When faced with adversity, we can choose to see it as a setback or as a lesson that helps us grow. We can choose to see failure not as the end of our story, but as part of the journey, a chapter that helps us build resilience and wisdom. By consciously creating our narrative, we begin to see ourselves as strong, capable, and equipped to handle whatever comes our way. One of the most powerful aspects of creating our own narrative is that it allows us to rewrite the past. While we cannot change the events that have already occurred, we can change how we interpret them. Instead of seeing past mistakes or failures as evidence that we aren't good enough, we can view them as stepping stones on our path to growth. We can reframe our history and choose to see ourselves as survivors, learners, and achievers, rather than as victims of circumstance. When we take control of our narrative, we stop being defined by our limitations or the expectations of others. We start to define ourselves by our strengths, our passions, and the vision we have for our lives. We realize that we have the power to create the story we want to live, and that we are the heroes of our own journey. The moment we step into this mindset, we take back control, and our future becomes something we actively shape, rather than something that happens to us. Creating our own narrative is an ongoing process, one that requires reflection, intention, and a willingness to embrace change. It's about choosing to write a story that empowers us to be the best version of ourselves, even when life throws challenges our way. We are not bound by the past or by the limitations others place on us. We are free to create a story of possibility, growth, and endless potential. Our sense of self-worth is one of the most powerful forces that drive our actions, decisions, and behaviors. The way we see ourselves and the value we place on our own abilities directly impacts how we approach life's challenges, opportunities, and relationships. When we have a strong sense of self-worth, we act with confidence and resilience. We believe we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, and this belief pushes us to take the necessary steps to achieve our goals. On the other hand, when we don't recognize our own value or feel undeserving of success, we often hesitate, second-guess ourselves, and may even avoid taking action altogether. Self-worth isn't about arrogance or thinking we are better than others. It's about recognizing and embracing our own intrinsic value. It's about knowing that we are worthy of love, respect, success, and happiness, not because of what we achieve or how others perceive us, but simply because we are human and deserving of these things by our very nature. When we truly understand our worth, we stop seeking constant validation from others. Instead, we are driven from within, motivated by the belief that we have something valuable to offer the world, and that we are capable of making a meaningful impact. When we feel secure in our own worth, we tend to take more risks. We are less afraid of failure because we know that our value doesn't hinge on our successes or failures. We are willing to step out of our comfort zones and pursue opportunities that align with our passions and ambitions. This willingness to act, even in the face of uncertainty, is what propels us forward and helps us grow. It's a fundamental truth that the more we trust in our worth, the more we are likely to pursue what truly matters to us. And in doing so, we unlock new levels of achievement and fulfillment. Conversely, when we lack self-worth, we may become paralyzed by fear and self-doubt. We may question whether we are good enough or capable enough to succeed, which leads to hesitation and inaction. Our internal narrative becomes filled with negative self-talk, such as, "I'm not qualified, I'm not smart enough, or I'll never be able to do that." These thoughts can stop us from taking the very actions that would lead to our growth. We may shy away from challenges, settle for less than we deserve, or avoid pursuing our true potential, all because we don't believe in our own value. In this way, our lack of self-worth directly limits our ability to take positive action. In relationships, too, our self-worth influences how we interact with others. When we believe in our value, we are more likely to set healthy boundaries, communicate effectively, and engage with others in ways that are genuine and authentic. We won't settle for relationships that don't serve us or allow ourselves to be mistreated, because we know we are worthy of respect and kindness. On the flip side, when our sense of self-worth is low, we might tolerate negative behavior, neglect our own needs, or put others' desires ahead of our own, all because we don't believe we are deserving of better. Our self-worth also plays a crucial role in how we handle setbacks and challenges. Life will inevitably present obstacles, but when we have a strong sense of self-worth, we don't let these challenges define us. We understand that we are not our failures or mistakes. Instead, we view setbacks as temporary, as opportunities for learning and growth. We are more likely to bounce back, take corrective action, and keep moving toward our goals. But when our self-worth is fragile, a single failure can feel like confirmation of our inadequacy, leading to self-criticism and inaction. The actions we take are a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves. When we hold ourselves in high regard, we show up in the world differently. We pursue our goals with determination, resilience, and an unwavering belief that we are deserving of success. We take initiative, make bold decisions, and keep pushing forward even when things get tough. Our self-worth becomes the driving force behind every move we make, shaping not just what we do, but how we do it. By cultivating a healthy sense of self-worth, we unlock the ability to take meaningful action, build a fulfilling life, and create the future we desire. True empowerment doesn't come from external sources. It begins deep within ourselves. Many people spend their lives searching for validation or approval from others, believing that external achievements, titles, or recognition are the keys to their sense of power. While these things can feel rewarding in the moment, they are fleeting. Real empowerment comes from within, from understanding who we are, what we stand for, and the belief that we have the capacity to shape our own destiny. When we look outside ourselves for empowerment, we place our worth and success in the hands of others. We depend on their approval, their recognition, or their judgment. This kind of external validation is unstable because it's based on things we cannot control. It can be taken away at any moment, leaving us feeling vulnerable and powerless. But when we find empowerment within, we are not reliant on external forces. We have an inner foundation of strength that allows us to move through the world with confidence, regardless of how others perceive us or the circumstances around us. Empowerment begins with self-awareness. To truly empower ourselves, we need to understand who we are, what drives us, and what we want to achieve. Self-awareness allows us to recognize our strengths, talents, and values, giving us the clarity to set meaningful goals and make decisions that align with our true selves. When we are aware of our own capabilities, we stop doubting ourselves and begin to trust that we have what it takes to navigate life's challenges. Self-empowerment also involves taking responsibility for our own lives. We stop blaming others, circumstances, or external factors for our situation and instead recognize that we have the ability to choose our response to whatever comes our way. It's about accepting that we are in control of our actions, our thoughts, and our future. The moment we take full responsibility for our own lives is the moment we unlock the power to create change. No longer are we at the mercy of our environment or the people around us. We become the architects of our own reality. This inner empowerment also requires self-belief. When we believe in our potential, we move forward with confidence and courage, even when things get tough. Self-belief is the fuel that propels us to take risks, make bold choices, and pursue our dreams, even in the face of uncertainty. Without this belief, we hesitate and hold back, unsure of our ability to succeed. Empowerment comes when we trust in our own worth and ability, not just in times of success, but also in moments of struggle. It's the deep-rooted conviction that no matter what happens, we have the resilience to keep going. It's also about self-compassion. Empowerment isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about recognizing that we are human and that setbacks and challenges are part of the journey. When we empower ourselves from within, we embrace our flaws and imperfections and give ourselves permission to learn and grow. We stop being our own harshest critics and start treating ourselves with the same kindness and patience we would offer to a friend. This shift in mindset allows us to move forward with more grace and less fear of failure. When we become empowered from within, we naturally radiate that energy outward. We inspire others by example, not because we're seeking to impress, but because we are authentically living from a place of self-assurance. This internal strength makes us more resilient in the face of adversity, more decisive in our actions, and more able to take on challenges without being deterred by doubt or fear. True empowerment doesn't require us to seek it from others. It comes from the simple, powerful act of looking inward, trusting ourselves, and acting from a place of inner clarity and conviction. The most profound shifts happen not when we wait for external approval or validation, but when we decide from the core of who we are that we are worthy, capable, and deserving of everything we want in life. Empowerment begins when we decide to stop giving away our power to external forces and start reclaiming it from within. By cultivating this inner strength and self-awareness, we unlock the potential to create the life we desire, one that is grounded in our own values, beliefs, and capabilities. In the end, true transformation begins within. The way we speak to ourselves, the stories we choose to tell, and the belief we hold in our own worth are the driving forces that shape our reality. When we empower ourselves from the inside, when we recognize our potential and embrace the challenges ahead, we move through life with purpose and resilience. It's not about waiting for external validation or hoping that the world will change for us. It's about taking ownership of our journey, shifting our mindset from limitation to possibility, and creating a narrative that reflects our deepest values and aspirations. When we understand that we are worthy, capable, and deserving of success, we step into our power and begin to take the actions that will ultimately lead us to the life we truly desire. The power to change, grow, and achieve is within us all. It's time to speak blessings upon ourselves, trust in our worth, and take control of our own story.